What's going on? We are Eagles Talk live on A2D Radio, and we are brought to you by Baggio's Bread, located in Mount Laurel, New Jersey, home of the best stuffed bread, tomato pie sandwiches, cutlets, and meatballs. Make sure you mention A2D Radio for 10% off your in-store purchase. We are live. It's your boy Chucks. It's Brinks, and Les Bone will be on with us in a little bit. Brinks, how's it going? We had a week off to kind of like relax. I know me and you were away.
Yeah, nothing going on. We had
Time away?
Dallas Goddard is back in the mix.
He is back in the mix, yes.
I did laundry today, and when I got done and folded it, like all the socks had a match, which rarely happens.
Oh, nice.
So yeah. Well, I don't know where the socks go in the laundry, Chucks, but they disappear. They disappear.
That's one of the biggest mysteries of ever is where do the socks go?
Where do they go? I don't know.
So,
I don't know.
Yeah, we will find out. But we may never know. We may never find out.
No, we'll never.
We'll never find out. But yeah, my time was.
Where's Jimmy Hoffa buried? No one knows.
Yeah,
they're somewhere, but no one knows.
It's one of those. It belongs on Unsolved Mysteries on that show. That's where it belongs. So, yeah, we have quite a bit to talk about because I know the NFL hasn't announced yet their schedule, which is a whole event. Like, there's no other sport, no other league where a schedule announcement is a whole big event. But it's the NFL. They're a multi-billion-dollar business, and they do it right. So they're going to market it the right way. But we know who the Eagles are playing out of 3 out of those weeks. We'll talk about that. But we're going to talk about first who we're playing week 1, and that is the Dallas Cowboys. All right. And I know I've seen some various opinions on it. So we'll get into that right now. The poll question for tonight: after trading for Pickens, the Cowboys are now the biggest threat to the Eagles in the NFC East. Agree or disagree? Before we start, because I know we had a little bit of a late start tonight, so thank you for bearing with us, guys, if you're listening in. But since we had a late start, right now we've got the one, Les Bowen, on with us. Les, how you doing?
How are you? I'm great.
Doing well, doing very, very well. So since you're on with us, let's lead off with you for the poll question. So the Cowboys, they traded for George Pickens a few days ago, which was I thought it was a good deal for them. They got wide receiver help. So now, do you think the Cowboys are the biggest threat to the Eagles in the NFC East?
Maybe. I'm going to say no. The Cowboys were 7-10 last season, and they had injuries. They're probably better than a 7-10 team. One wide receiver, is that going to make them a great team? See, Washington is really, really good. That's my problem here. Washington was a 12-5 team last season, and I think Washington got better over the offseason. I think Washington is the team with the really good young quarterback. Mm-hmm. Is Dak going to be healthy this year as he gets older? I don't know. I'm inclined to stick with Washington as my biggest threat to the Eagles, but I certainly wouldn't be shocked if Dallas turned out to be good. Or if something happened, in Washington, Daniels could get hurt. Anything can happen. Dallas has a new coach. We don't really have a feel for that yet. It could be an incredible stroke of genius, or it could be a disaster. I'm not inclined, though, to just say, "Oh, George Pickens, oh my God!" Now the Eagles are really in trouble. I don't particularly believe that. George Pickens was available for a reason. Have the Steelers? I mean, I know the Steelers have had terrible quarterbacking, but Pickens has been. He's a guy I like to watch play when I watch him play because he's a dynamic receiver, but he's also a giant pain in the butt. Yes. And I can easily see that coming into play here in the hothouse of the Dallas media, which is a lot different, I think, from being in Pittsburgh. So, I'm going to stick with Washington.
Yeah, no, I hear you on that. What do you think, Briggs?
Yeah, I mean, all I have to do is point out, even after the Pickens trade on the various sports books, I checked out MGM and DraftKings before we went on. Now, I'm going to speak in averages because the odds are a little different on each of them, but they're relatively the same. The Cowboys, even with George Pickens, are still 25-1 one of the bottom favorites in the NFC. And if you look at the NFC East odds, which is what the poll question is, they're roughly 7-1 to win the NFC East. Now, for those gamblers out there, 7-1 when there's only 4 teams to win, and obviously the NFC East is a little bit skewed because the Eagles are so far ahead of everyone. So, the other 3 are going to have worse odds to come in first over the Eagles. But 7-1, even after the Pickens trade to win the NFC East, that's an astronomical underdog. So I don't believe in Dallas. Les doesn't sound like he believes in Dallas. Chucks, I don't know where you're going to go with this poll question, but I don't believe in the Dallas Cowboys. All you have to do is look at the gambling odds. Washington has a better quarterback. Washington has a better coach. Washington has a better supporting cast. And Washington does not have Jerry Jones. George Pickens does not scare me one bit going down to Dallas. Good, decent player, yes, but the guy thinks he's T.O., and he's nothing but a J.O., so he'll fit right in down there. When Dak going through his problem, because he's, back-end top 10 quarterback, I don't want to totally disrespect him, even though I hate him. So when they're having their problems, when the coach isn't getting along with the owner and it seeps onto the field, George Pickens is going to be no help for them there. And they picked Trevor Booker in the first round. Okay, you got an offensive line help. Zach Martin retired, so you replaced that. But a guard in the first round?
High in the first round. Not just – you can take a guard in the first round, but high in the first round.
They had what? Yeah, they were middle of the 7 and 10, 12, so I don't exactly have the 15th pick.
I think it was like 12,
whatever they were. So you pick a guard at 12?
Yeah, I mean, it would have been one thing if he was kind of like Quentin Nelson. Quentin Nelson was like a blue chip guard, he was so good. And Tyler Booker was not that. So Tyler Booker was like a reach regardless. It's not just with his position. I thought at guard he was a second round guy. So yeah, that was, to me, that was a reach for Tyler Booker.
I disagree. I disagree with the poll. Washington's better. And who knows? Washington may struggle with the fact that, they're not going into the season under the radar. They're 100% on everyone's radar. So they're going to be the hunted. They're going to be the hunted, not the hunter this year. So we'll see how they deal with that. Wouldn't surprise me at all if the NFC East was a one bid playoff division next year. Wouldn't surprise me at all. But that one team sure as hell is not going to be the Dallas Cowboys. Not no way, not no how. Bring them on week 1. We get to raise our banner right in Jerry Jones's face, and it's going to be beautiful.
I'm going to also disagree to the poll. Now I will let me not devil's advocate. I'm not going to play devil's advocate all the way, but I do, like I said at the beginning, I do like this trade for them because I think Pickens is ultra talented as a wide receiver, super talented. This guy has, in terms of his physical ability, you could argue he's a top 10 wide receiver just on physical ability alone and talent. However, we know that in the NFL, talent is not the whole thing. It's about a lot of things that a lot of other factors that play into it, and he just doesn't have his head on straight, right? He's getting into fights all the time, and it's as though he's more concerned with picking fights with people than he is with actually contributing and doing little things to help his team. Hence why the Steelers traded him away. And they have a reputation of when they choose to part ways with a wide receiver, it doesn't usually go well. Now, each is a different scenario, a different situation. I get that. And I'm not going to, again, I think Pickens is very talented. So I will give the benefit of the doubt to the fact that, hey, he is going to be he's going to play wide receiver 2 for the Cowboys, which they absolutely needed, and he's a darn good one. So absolutely, I think it's a very good trade. I do think Dak coming back, as long as he can stay healthy, obviously, is a caveat. I think they do have talent on offense. The running game is a lot left to be desired. Javonte Williams, I was a big fan of coming out, but his injuries just took away a lot of his physical ability. So he's not the same. Obviously, we know about Miles Sanders. He's not what he once was. Jaden Blue, I wasn't even that high on in the draft. So their running back room leaves a lot to be desired. On the defensive end, they have some pieces. So it's just like if I'm comparing their roster from top to bottom to the Commanders do have some holes. However, I do think where the two spots where it does matter a lot, like you said, Brinks, coach and quarterback, the Commanders have that. So that gives them that automatically gives them like a really, really good edge. And I do like the Pickens acquisition for the Cowboys more than I liked the Deebo Samuel acquisition for the Commanders. I will say that I don't think Deebo has much left in the tank, whereas Pickens is coming into his prime. So I do think that the Cowboys have that on them, and I think the Commanders don't really have a pass rusher right now, and they didn't really address it in the draft. So I don't know where they're going to get that from. So there remains a concern. We shall see if they hit kind of like a slump because they got lucky late in a lot of those games. I mean, we all saw like the Hail Mary, right? Like that should not have been a thing. And usually when you win a lot of close games like that, you come down to earth a little bit the following year because it's just such variance. So I'm not going to say it's impossible for the Cowboys to compete for like the second spot and to be the biggest challengers for the Eagles. But if I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to anyone, it's going to be the Commanders because Jaden Daniels has earned that. They've earned that. I mean, they went to Detroit and beat the Lions, and so like that is an impressive feat. They deserve the benefit of the doubt in that regard. So I'm going to give the nod to them over the Cowboys. But I do think with this Pickens acquisition, it is a lot closer than it was before. Just because now I think they have multiple ways to beat you in the passing game. So I do think that it's there. But I know John, we got to the chat, John Adcock, he disagrees. However, I don't understand how the Skins will use Deebo and Terry, but I'll give the nod to the Skins because of the QB position. I'm assuming he means the Commanders, not the Skins anymore. Yeah, and I don't think like Deebo and Terry, they play different kinds of roles, but I don't think Deebo has much left in the tank. He's hurt all the time. He's lost a lot of that ability, and like he's not what he once was. And I used to be a huge Deebo fan, but he's not being like that hybrid running back wide receiver. It took a toll on him. So I wasn't really that impressed with that acquisition. So that is that. Now, so we talked about that. We talked about the Cowboys a little bit. We talked about the Commanders. I don't know if you have anything else with the two teams you want to touch on, but there is another team in the division that overall, outside of maybe the Jackson Dart pick, which is very questionable in my opinion, outside of that, they had a pretty good offseason. So even if you don't see them as being contending for the division, where do you think let's put it this way. Are you buying or selling what the Giants have done this offseason? Les, let's start with you.
I'm selling. The quarterback situation, I don't think you get much out of that. I'm not impressed by that at all. What they've tried, the Band-Aids they've tried to put on there, and then drafting Jackson Dart. I just don't see. They had so much they needed to do to be good, and they kept Brian Dable. They kept the general manager. It's going to be a tough division. I think the other three teams could all be plus 500, or certainly around it, and better. Two of them much better. I think the Giants, on paper, are the fourth team, and a lot's going to have to break their way to get them into any sort of conversation there. I just don't. I don't see it.
Yeah, Briggs, how about you? Buying or selling with the Giants?
I'll buy their defense.
Yeah.
I'll buy their defense because they signed Javon Holland, who I always liked. They drafted Tyler Nubin. He'll be in his second year. They signed Paulson Adebo. They drafted Abdul Carter, who probably in terms of the top five is the biggest can't miss guy
Yeah.
that got picked. They have Brian Burns. They have Dexter Lawrence. Like, that's a professional defense. But,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Is their offensive line any good, though? I mean,
no, I mean, Thomas is good. I mean, what they signed Darius Slayton to the exact same contract that the Eagles signed Saquon Barkley to. So Theo, I have their depth chart right here, so I'm just reading right off of it. Theo Johnson at tight end, like, who's that guy? They're running Tyrone Tracy. He kind of came on at the end of last year.
I like Tracy. Yeah.
Yeah, and they took Scadaboo.
Yeah, that's a good combo.
We'll see. So I mean, Russell Wilson or Jameis Winston, or seems like they took Jackson Dart as kind of like a project guy.
Yeah,
it doesn't seem like he's going to be like at least a 1 year redshirt. So I don't really see much from him, and we know what Jameis is. Jameis is either going to could throw for 300 yards, but he's also probably going to throw 4 picks. And I mean, Russell Wilson is
not good.
Russell Wilson anymore.
Yeah.
So I mean, offense is no good. They're going to struggle again to score points, in my opinion. But their defense is good. It wouldn't surprise me if they jumped up and won a couple division games just because of their defense. But they have a lot of work to do. I mean, I don't think you can't win consistently in this league week to week if you're not putting up at least 3 touchdowns, 4 touchdowns. It's just not going to happen, and the Giants can't do that. The Cowboys or the Commanders, they could do that because they have better quarterback play and they just have better players.
Yeah, no, I hear on that. I want, like, if I'm looking from an objective standpoint, I want to buy in on what they're doing because they did improve that defense. And I liked a good amount of what they did in the draft. So absolutely, I have to sell it though, because just that selection of Jackson Dart, traded what they traded away to move up back in the first round was fine. I thought that was a good trade, like good value, but doing it for Jackson Dart is a massive reach for me, and I don't believe. I think it's so similar to the whole Daniel Jones thing again. A quarterback they reach for, and just for some reason they believe in.
A quarterback who's not terrible. He's just good enough to keep you mediocre, or to foil your plans of being really good. It's and I saw a little bit of that narrative coming out of their rookie camp. There was all this talk about Jackson Dart's leadership and all this stuff. I'm thinking, they're going down that road again. Even though he's behind the 2 guys that are really going to play, they're already starting to look at him as the quarterback of the future. And I'm skeptical. I'm very skeptical of that. The 2 quarterbacks, the Wilson and Winston, they might here. What you could do is you have 2 guys there who can be good on a given week. If you keep guessing right as to which one is going to be good,
it is.
I mean, they both had games last year where you think, oh my heavens, this is when Pittsburgh first went to Wilson, they were winning.
Oh yeah, he was playing well right off the bat.
And Jameis had some big games, but you can't depend on either one of them for more than 3 weeks in a row. And you just have to be like a baseball manager, have your foot on the top step of the dugout the whole time.
Yeah.
Get ready to, okay, time to switch this one out. Go back to the other guy.
Yeah, I don't know what direct, and this screams of a team that it's similar kind of to the Saints, where they're on the hot seat. Like their coach and the GM are on the hot seat. So they're trying to do what they can to save their jobs. But we talk about this often with the Eagles. A big reason why Howie is able to do what he's able to do is because he has that long-term job security. He knows that he can mess up, but he still has the faith where he can still correct it in future years if he does have a mishap in one offseason or whatnot. If things go wrong one year, he has the leeway and the long leash to fix it still.
Yes.
So he's able to prioritize those long-term assets the right way. And there aren't a lot of teams in the NFL that operate that way. They're few and far between. And so it's not like the Giants are the only team out here that doesn't have a good direction, a good, stable front office like that. But we kind of knew the writing was on the wall, like as early as last season with Hard Knocks. So you just watch that, and it's just there's no direction. So no matter, like, again, I do like a lot of the stuff that they did. So from a micro standpoint, a micro point of view, you can look at a lot of those and say, hey, like, they're doing a good job. But from a macro point of view, it's like, but in the end, what's it gonna bring them? It's not gonna bring them anything in the end, because they don't have the quarterback, and their GM and coach are not gonna most likely be here. So it's not gonna even pay off.
As a sports writer, I was fascinated by the way the guys up there were able to make, guys and girls were able to make so much hay out of what number Carter is going to wear. It's like that was like a 5-day story. Well, he might wear this number. No, LT says no. Oh, he might wear Phil Simms' number. Well, nope. Phil Simms' family says no. I don't care what if he's really focused on what number he's wearing. I think they're off to a bad start. But he's a great player, and I think he's going to be with 51 is his latest. The number that he's landed upon, and God bless him. I hope I hope they retire it in 15 years for him. But it's when you're writing about stuff like that, the team's not very good.
Yeah.
But I don't understand with the Jackson Dart thing with them. It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me because Jackson Dart, maybe he'll be good. I don't know. Yeah. But you're just taking yourself – you're going to be a bad team whether you have Jackson Dart. So you're just totally taking yourself out of Arch Manning, who's Peyton Manning.
Yeah, if Arch comes out.
I think he's going to be so good at Texas next year. He's just – but you don't know because NIL – he might –
yeah.
So all these guys are taking pay cuts on their rookie contract because of what they make in NIL.
He might play more than 1 year, who knows?
But, Arch Manning is about as can't miss as you can get. I mean, he's Peyton Manning that runs a 4.5 40. Like, just an absolute stud. And so you're just going to reach on Jackson Dart and take yourself out of that sweepstakes. Go be and take.
That's why
South Carolina is pretty good. But you're none of these. This wasn't a quarterback. This wasn't the year to pick a quarterback.
Right.
If you needed a quarterback.
Yeah.
Unless it was Cam Ward. I kind of like him, but
The Titans seemed pretty early that they picked they had the first pick, and it seemed like pretty early on that they liked them and they were gonna pick them.
Yeah. He was the one. Yeah, he was the one quarterback where you're like, okay, he has potential to be something. Well, I won't say that. I do like Milroe, but he's a project. But that's where I think that Milroe went to the perfect situation in Seattle because he doesn't have to start right away. He can sit on the bench for 1 to 2 years and develop before he even has to start. So he went to a great situation there. But those are the two that, if I'm running a team, those are the only two quarterbacks I'm looking at. And I'm just like, okay, I'm either going with Cam Ward, who has potential to be something, and then if I can't get him, I'm on day 2 at some point I'm taking a swing on Jalen Milroe. If he doesn't work out, it was a day 2 pick for a quarterback. And if he does,
you like Milroe over Shador?
I do. I think Shador is a safer pick, but I think Milroe absolutely has more in the toolbox and a better capability of being something if he hits. Now it's a huge risk, and that's the thing with a toolsy quarterback like that. You need it's always a risk. always a risk. So like I'm not guaranteeing he's going to pan out, but I think he's going to need a lot of time. But the tools are there. That's the thing with Milroe. So he doesn't have to start right away, but he has the right mindset, and it'll be fun to see him develop over the next 2 years. But 25 minutes in, so we previewed a little bit of each of the other teams in NFC East. So let's go now, and we're going to shift gears. And if you're listening in, definitely tune in. Let us know what you think of the poll question as we go along. But I do want to get into, and we'll get into the full schedule next week once it's out. But there are 3 games that were announced that were pretty much official. So we talked about we know about the Cowboys and Eagles. Now I know there are some people that I saw didn't like it. I don't know why. I thought this was a great decision by the NFL schedule makers to put Cowboys and Eagles because it's a storied rivalry and it's going to be fun. But I don't know. You guys, am I missing something as to why this isn't a good decision by the schedule makers and why?
I was expecting a matchup against another really top team. Okay. I was expecting Detroit, perhaps. Mm-hmm. I really think if Dallas hadn't done the Pickens thing, that this would not be the game. I think that's what they're looking at. I think they want to get that. It doesn't excite me that much because I don't care that much, but openers are weird. You don't want to be as good as you're going to be in the opener. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You want your team to be good at the end of the season. Yeah. So, you could come out and play a bad game and it would, really, there would be all kinds of hoo-ha about that. I don't know. I'm not big on openers as death match for somebody and all that. I remember the game that opened the link. It was against Tampa Bay, if you remember, after the
they got
horrible
trashed.
loss in the NFC Championship game. And going into that, I was thinking, the Eagles haven't really done anything here to, this is not going to be an easy game for them. It's not going to. They're opening a stadium, but Tampa is the team that just won the Super Bowl and has still got most of its good players, And sure enough, the Eagles lost. A bunch of guys got hurt. It really wasn't anything wonderful to remember over the years. And I don't know. I don't care about the opener that much, that what the matchup is, but I was expecting another top, contender, which I don't really see Dallas as. But we'll see.
What do you think, Briggs?
Yeah, I thought they were going to give us Detroit. That's a scheduled home game for the opponents. Maybe do a rematch with Kansas City. They're also actually, that's a road game. I apologize.
Right, they couldn't do it.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah,
that's a road game. Sorry about that.
I forgot that too.
Yeah,
a lot of people, a lot of eyes are going to be on the game. I mean, it's the Cowboys. Whether you love them or hate them, everyone knows what the Dallas Cowboys do every Sunday.
Yeah.
Whether you're an Eagles fan and hate the Cowboys, you want them to lose, or whether you're just one of these crumbs from Northeast Philly that's just a Dallas fan for no reason. You know what they do every Sunday.
Yeah.
I think Les is right. I think the Pickens thing, that splash out of kind of out of nowhere, really upped the profile of the Dallas Cowboys. And whether they're going to be bad or not, the Dallas Cowboys always have one of the most primetime games out of anybody in the league, just because of that box office factor that they have. So from a league standpoint and a business standpoint, it's gold for the NFL. As far as me, I'd prefer it not to be a division game opening up.
Yeah.
I'd rather, it's like the non-conference games in college football. I want to play 2 or 3 of them and then bring in someone from the division. But they're playing Washington late. I don't know if that's the home game or the road game.
That's the away game right before Christmas, the week before.
Right around Christmas. It's a Saturday doubleheader.
Yeah, similar to what it was last year. Yep.
And then the other one that they announced was the Bears on Black
Bears,
Friday, which I don't like that it starts at 3:00. I think that's asinine, but whatever.
You know, a lot of fans are into this Dallas opener thing just to make the Cowboys watch the Eagles hoist the banner for the Super Bowl.
I mean, I'm into
I
it.
admit that's something. But if the Cowboys win the game, which they certainly could, you know, I mean, that doesn't raising the banner means very little at that point. So, I mean, if you raise the banner and then you beat them by 40 points, that's a heck of a deal. But other than that, I don't know. I don't know that raising the banner is gonna.
It's no fun when Dallas stinks.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I want Dallas to be 9-1.
Yeah,
and then
we all no, because we all know what's going to happen.
Oh, in the playoffs.
I hear. Dak will probably, if they're 9-1, they're probably going to be Dak. That means Dak's playing good, and CeeDee Lamb's healthy, and Pickens is working out. And then, you know, the leaves will start to change. It'll start to get a little chilly out, and we all know what's going to happen. It's beautiful. It's like clockwork. When they're like 3-13 and their fans crawl in their holes in September, you know, that doesn't give me any enjoyment. I like to see when they're good, and I like to see when they
want to watch them suffer. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I like Dallas fans. Like I always say, like, just shoot me in the head, put me out of my misery. No, not Dallas fans. Shoot them right in the stomach and just watch them squirm around on the ground for a couple months, and then eventually they'll just die of an infection or blood loss. It's great.
Now, I was thinking all those years I covered the Eagles, they never opened with Dallas. And sure enough, I was reading that the last Dallas Eagles opener was the pickle juice.
Pickle juice.
Very, very long time ago, you know.
That was 2000. That was Andy Reid's second
coming out party.
Was that 2000 or was that 2000? Was that 2000?
I think it was 2000. I'm pretty sure it was 2000.
Okay.
The era where they couldn't get over the Kerry Collins and the New York Giants.
Yeah.
So like they were good and they made the playoffs, but they lost to the Giants 3 times that year.
Yeah.
Because the Giants went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And they lost to the Ravens. Yeah, that's right. I think for me, I think that for the opener, I think we all expected like one of the top tier teams. That's usually what it is, right? It's some type of like rematch from the playoffs or something like that, right? I think with the Cowboys, though, I definitely understand them because I think they're the exception for a lot of the reasons you said, Brinks. I think that they're always going to be one of the most marketable teams, no matter how good or bad they are. So they're going to bring in ratings, and I think that the rivalry is one of those rivalries where it's just it makes good enough TV. So like. It wouldn't. Could you do like, and would Eagles Commanders, even though the Commanders went to the NFC Championship game, would that have been like? Well, I guess you can say that. Yeah, that would have been an acceptable one. But like, okay, would Eagles Giants have been an acceptable opener? No, because even though they're a hated rival, they're not good enough, and they're not like no one really sees that rivalry. As even though I love the rivalry, I personally think the Eagles Giants rivalry is a better rivalry in terms of quality games than the Eagles Cowboys rivalry. But the Eagles Cowboys rivalry is more hated. There's more heat to it, right? So, and obviously the Cowboys are more marketable right now than the Giants. So, I get it. I think I understand it. I think that is it ideal from a division standpoint because week 1 is always an anomaly, almost always an anomaly. So like. To have one division loss potentially in week 1 does suck. So I understand that, but I don't hate it like some people I've been seeing. I think I've seen people complain a lot, and I'm just like,
what's their art like? Why do they hate it?
They don't say it. It's just like, oh, I didn't like this at all. Like they're like they wanted. I saw comments saying on Twitter saying like this sucks. Like they didn't give a reason. I'm just like wondering why do you
He's not going to let you play Temple, you know. I mean,
so
look at the choices here. I have the opponents right here. You got the 3 division games that are home games.
Okay.
The Bears, which is Black Friday, but the Bears they blow. They're not going to put them on the prime spot of the opener. The Lions would have been a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Denver, who I think is going to be really good, actually. The
Yeah.
Rams and Vegas.
So Rams. So if we're looking
Rams, yeah,
at either Rams or Lions would have been what I would
yeah.
think they would go with, right?
The
I thought
Rams
it
would have been fun because they're like the only team that almost beat us.
Yeah, yeah.
They legitimately almost won that football game. The Packers, that game was close on the scoreboard, but I never thought that game was in question.
Yeah, they pulled
And
away.
obviously the Commanders, we blew them out of the water. Saquon first play, just houses a 50-yard touchdown, and then the Chiefs never had a shot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the Rams would have been interesting.
Yeah, the Rams would have been. If you had asked me, my money would have been on the Rams, but I would have loved that too. But I don't mind the Cowboys matchup. So we'll see what happens. But
it's a rather difficult away slate. I mean, it's tough to say right now. The rather difficult away slate for the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, it's a division winner. You're always going to get like a
I mean, you got Tampa on the road. The Eagles never win down there.
Always.
You go to Lambeau. Yeah, you go to Lambeau, which I hope they stick it right up their ass for them complaining about the tush push. I hope they do the tush push 50 times against them. Mm-hmm. You go to Kansas City, which I don't know. I don't know how they determine which, because you play the entire AFC West, so I don't know how they determine which two are going to be the away games, but I think they should have to come. I think they should have to come to our house.
I think I could have sworn they alternate because with every AFC divisions that you do every 4 years, it's alternate. But I could be wrong.
We beat the Chiefs there before the collapse after we lost to them.
Yes.
Was that in Kansas City?
Yeah.
It was Monday night, and they beat them.
Okay, you're right.
That was the game Nick Sirianni was barking at everyone, and everyone said he was being immature, which he was.
But then because we play an additional game now, right? We played 17 games. I think that extra game isn't it AFC opponent. So I could be totally wrong. I'm just kind of like thinking out loud.
I mean, it appears that way because ours is Buffalo, which is probably because we're good.
Because before that year with the collapse, 2023, our AFC division was the AFC East, from what I remember, because we played the Dolphins, we played the Bills. I'm pretty sure we played the Jets and we played the Patriots. So I think that was the year we played the AFC East. I think the Chiefs were just one of the extra AFC games, and I think that's why it doesn't count as like alternating home away. But again, I could be totally wrong. I don't.
I mean, it makes sense, but like our extra game this year is at Buffalo, so I guess that's what you get for being good.
Yeah, that's what you get for being good. So,
right, and then you go out to the Chargers, and you play Minnesota on the road because you play that entire division as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean those opponents are going to be every week. I feel like this is going to be a tough opponent, but I mean we'll see what happens as things unfold. It's going to be interesting. I think that the Black Friday game against the Bears, I think that should be a lot of fun. I know it's at 3:00 and that sucks. It sucks that it's at 3:00, but you talk about a Bears team that's on the rise potentially on paper with a new coach Ben Johnson. Who knows, with Caleb Williams again this year, like second year, he could take a next step. He has all the weapons. The O-line should be, even if it's only a little bit improved, it should be somewhat improved at least. And they've got some pieces on defense. So the Bears could be a sneaky good team. That could be a very interesting matchup on Black Friday. So I circled that. I'm just like, that's going to be fun to watch.
I already bet the Eagles. I already bet the Eagles -7 in that game.
I love Prime games. I love the games on Amazon Prime with Prime Vision. I absolutely love them. I think that broadcast is phenomenal. It's top notch. It's the best broadcast with the all 22 view, the Prime Vision view, and everything. I love it. I wish all primetime games were on Prime Vision. So Is that where they put
the circle under the guy, defensive guy? Yeah, that is actually kind of
zoom out the camera so you can see the whole field.
And you have Herb Street.
You have Herb Street, who's pretty decent.
Awesome.
And then you have the analytics guy who does a good job explaining. Like Rob, like neither of us are huge analytics guys, but I forget his name, but the analytics guy on there, he does a really good job of explaining analytics and the numbers to the casual fans and tell them what they mean. So I think that broadcast is phenomenal. I love what they do with Amazon Prime and Prime Video. So I'm happy to be on that. I liked that announcement so far. And then obviously we have Eagles Commanders toward the end. I think what is that, week 16 they said, right?
Yeah, it's 16. Saturday Christmas doubleheader with the Bears and the Packers.
So it was right around similar time last season too that it was Eagles Commanders because that game was on my wife's birthday, so I didn't watch it. So now with this game, it's 3 days before my wife's
birthday.
birthday.
Thing this sets up, it's going to be, I believe, Saturday, December 20th, if I'm correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what that sets up is, now that the NFL is playing on Christmas, if you get a Saturday game the week before, I would think that would put you more in the mix for a day, 5 days later, playing on Christmas.
Yeah.
More than a team playing on Sunday might necessarily be. So we'll have to watch for that.
That probably is likely, Les. We win the Super Bowl. And we're going to be on prime time on almost every week. It's going to be. And I know a lot of people, they don't like the primetime games because it's a late night. You got to wait all day for the game to come on, and then it's
Sunday at 1:00. You wake up, you have your breakfast, you
watch them, and then you're done.
Yep.
So it's gonna be tough to get through all these primetime games, but such is the life of Super Bowl winners. Absolutely.
Yes.
So we'll see next week. We'll dive more into the schedule. I mean, we have it's the thick of the off season, so we have to stretch out these topics a little bit. But we'll dive into.
Is there a rule about how many primetime games you can play?
I don't know. Les, do you know if there is?
I don't know that. I know there's a rule about, how often you can be on Thursday and so forth like that. But as far as prime time goes, I don't believe there's a rule about that.
Okay.
There's probably not because they're much more liberal with the flex now when they figure out that it's not a good matchup that's scheduled.
Yeah, that is true. So I'll look at that. I don't think there is a rule against it, but because I've never seen it mentioned, but I'll keep an eye out for them if that is. How Matthew Walsh asked how's playing the international game this year. I don't think we go international. I don't think we have any international games.
Yeah, I think we would have known by now.
Right.
And they just played one last year, so they've done their duty with those nonsense.
Unless they're the Jaguars. Jaguars play in London every single year, so
well, they should probably relocate there. They might get more fans. No one in Jacksonville cares. That's for sure.
That is very, very, very true. Very true. Les, any parting thoughts before we let you go for the evening?
The Dallas Goedert thing, I guess, came up.
Let's talk about Goedert.
It's the last time we spoke. I was pleasantly surprised. I thought this was the most logical, like a lot of people. I thought this was the most logical thing to happen all the way along. But for some reason, it seemed impossible. And I kept reading and hearing that, it's not going to happen. They're going to have to trade him, And I just didn't see, what they were going to do, especially after the draft, what the hell they were going to do for a tight end, and B, how he was going to be that much better off having missed 22 games over the last 4 years or 5 years.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to trade a lot for Dallas Goedert and then sign him to a top of the market long-term deal. No, and I'm sorry Dallas is having to take less money than he had negotiated. I always hate that. I think that's, I've said it before on here. I never covered a league before. When I got to the NFL and saw that happening, I was dumbfounded. I've covered baseball and hockey, and you sign a contract, you make the money. But I understand why they did. It was a contract that in 2021 slotted him right between Kittle and Kelsey, and he's never had a 1,000-yard season because of the injuries, and because they have AJ and Devontae, and so on and so forth, and Saquon Barkley now. But I hope that he has a great year and he either goes out in a blaze of glory and gets that contract he wants next season, or he has a great year and somehow stays here. I don't know. But he's getting on up in age, so I'm not sure that there is a huge money deal out there for him, even if he has a good year. I think he's kind of limited by the guys around him. Like I just said, I don't know that he's going to put up wonderful numbers, but I think it's the best thing for the Eagles making a Super Bowl run this year. Absolutely. I did not see, how I thought that would have been a major weakness going into the season had they not had everybody kept talking about them trading for the Raiders tight end or something, but that hadn't happened. And I'm just glad this got done.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I think it just made no sense. I know that who was it that signed their deal right before? Was it Kittle? Kittle signed that contract. Yeah. Everyone, like you said, Les, everyone's like, Goddard's not going to sign anything. But I was pleasantly surprised to see that he always wanted. The report was, and I don't know if this is like writer talk, you know what I mean, like from the agents and stuff like that, to kind of just like put good press out there. But it did say the report was that Goddard from the beginning said he wanted to still stay and make it work.
Well, it's good. I hope that's true. I haven't seen anybody really talk to him, which kind of surprised me a little bit, or his agent. You would think you'd get that at some point, but I'm just glad it's done and we don't have to worry about it. And the Eagles are in very good shape there at that position this season, and then we'll see.
Yeah, and even I know that he's going to be hurt for, most likely he'll be hurt for his share of regular season games. But if I'm correct, from what I remember, he hasn't missed a playoff game.
No, he hasn't. He's in fact, the 2 Super Bowl runs, he's been the team's leading receiver both times.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So
I'll take that.
If you can promise me that, where he'll miss maybe 3-4 games in the regular season, but he will be ready to produce in the playoffs, I will absolutely take that. And like he's that good. So I'm not upset. I know that a lot of fans wanted him gone and traded because he's hurt all the time. But at some point, like it just makes too much sense. It makes too much sense at some point. So 100%. Briggs, I don't know if you had any thoughts on it too.
Yeah, I mean the Eagles are in a better position to repeat with Dallas Goedert than they are by trading him, giving him away for some 5th-round pick like they did C.J. Gardner-Johnson.
Yes.
That's really it. I mean, I don't really know how you can disagree with that statement, but I'm sure people out there will. Which brings us to the safety position. I don't know. Is Justin Simmons showing up? I think someone's got to show up.
That's the rumor, but I don't know. Like,
I don't know that somebody has to show up. We'll see.
Either someone has to show up, or the guys in house have to play.
Yeah,
better
I think it's
than
between
played
Sidney
in
Brown
past.
and the 2nd-round rookie for one of the starting spots. And
I personally would just rather have them battle it out. I think you have 2 young safeties. Obviously, I'm a Sid guy, but I do think Makuba's the better prospect.
Yeah.
But I think that I would prefer to just them battle it out instead of bringing another one. But I also would not complain if it's a 1-year cheap veteran deal for Justin Simmons. I'm not going to complain about it. Yeah. I wouldn't complain about it. But if you ask me what I'd prefer the young guys to just battle it out in camp for who's going to start, and my money would be on Makuba. So we'll see. We will see. I personally am not worried about the safety position like some other people are. I think it's a matter of there's a difference between being concerned about it and having it being a question mark. I think it's a question mark. I don't think it's a concern. I think you have options, and I think it'll play out. It'll play out fine. So if Fangio thinks whatever Fangio wants, and if Fangio thinks one of these 2 is good enough to be a starter, then I will trust Fangio.
Agree. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the problem, Chucks, is if Tristan McCollum has to play because of injuries and whatnot.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
That's the concern.
Yeah.
That's also the concern with corner as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
corner
yeah,
is
okay,
another-
cool. I'll give Keely Ringo a shot out there. Fine. But if Keely Ringo stinks or Q or Keely gets hurt,
Well, you got Adoree
misses
Jackson.
time.
You know, we'll
You
see.
do have
Okay.
Adoree Jackson, yeah. So, yeah.
Like
That
I
is-
said, if one of those guys gets hurt, I'm extremely like that's where the problems.
But I think
run in.
every team's in that position. It's really hard to be where the Eagles were last year, where you've got these layers of players, all over the field.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be like that this year. It just isn't. Maybe never again,
Yeah.
I
do wonder. I wonder if I mean, I know what I would do. I personally know what I would do, but I am not a big fan of Joe. I wonder if they're open to moving Cooper DeJean to the outside from the nickel. So
he fits that spot so perfectly, and it's such a key position now.
Yeah.
I would be so reluctant to do that. He couldn't do it. He could do it very well, but I think somebody's got to play the slot then, and unless they're going to be as good as Cooper DeJean, I don't want to see that, frankly.
I'm with you, Les. That's what I would prefer. I prefer when he was a prospect last year, I said he's going to be an elite slot corner. I think the slot is where he really is at his best. So I would want to keep him there. I wonder if knock on wood, if injuries came to it, would they move him? I really wonder, because the corner they did take on day 3, and I know it's a day 3 corner. I know it might not mean anything. He probably is just a special teamer.
Mac
but
Williams.
Yeah. He does project more as a slot guy. So I was thinking, if they envision him as a slot guy and he has to fill in the slot, would they move Cooper if they needed? So I don't know. It just got me thinking. Maybe I'm just overthinking it, but it does make me wonder how Fangio sees Cooper.
Me too.
In that scenario, but that's a problem. Hopefully, we never have to face, and if we do, hopefully it's later on, and we'll figure it out. But I mean, I don't have much else. We have a few minutes, but I don't have much else. I mean,
that's about it for me.
Yeah.
Really good seeing everybody again. Hope PY is back next week.
Yes.
Miss him.
He should. Yeah.
What's going on with his facial hair this week?
Sure. He got held up at the dealership. Got a last.
I know. I hope he made the sale.
That's a tough life, boy. I respect people that do stuff like that.
It is.
I never had to actually work for a living myself, so I respect people that do. But you guys take care. I'm going to sign off, and
all right, Les.
have a good week, and I'll talk to you next week.
All right, Les. See you later. There's Les Bowen. I don't know what else we got. A few minutes. Got 5 minutes. I don't know if you have anything else you wanted to discuss NFL wise. Have you done any? Do you do Dynasty? You're in one league, Dynasty, right?
Yeah, one league
Dynasty. Have you done your rookie draft yet? Well,
no, because I'm in a huge argument with the jabronis because it was my first. I didn't pick my team. I took over some guy who picked a trash team and quit, and I took it over and I molded it into the third place team.
Nice.
Okay. But why do dynasty leagues do their rookie drafts in May?
Because that's when it's
the dumbest thing ever. It's the dumbest thing ever. Do it in August.
Because I don't know if your drafts are the same too, but they're slow drafts. So ours
is only 4 rounds.
4 rounds. How much time for each pick?
I don't know. Nothing. It took like a half hour last year.
Okay, so yours is different. So your draft is different. We do a slow draft. So we each pick that we have, because maybe bring this up to I don't know what the commission wants to do or the other league mates, but a lot of the dynasty leagues, they do a slow draft where, since it's sometimes too hard to get people to get the right schedule to pick a day, right? you do a slow draft where each player gets 12 hours to pick. So that way they're not in a rush to pick. They can go. Everyone can
Yeah,
go
but
on.
let's say I pick Ashton Genty with my first pick, and
Mhm.
in May, before any mini camp or any training camp, and he shows up to training camp on the first day and has a non-contact injury.
Well, that's the thing. That's so with
That's
Dynasty,
B.
with Dynasty, there's the focus shifts from it's obviously it's more long term, right? It's a long term investment in assets, and the focus on the draft more than free agency. So with redraft, the you have you have players that you're drafting, you're taking close to the season because you're only getting them for the season. So you want to know what the injury status is as much as possible, so that you don't pick an injured guy, and you want to know all the reports on them because the focus is just one season. For Dynasty, since the focus is long term, the injury designation isn't as big or necessary as
Like,
with
I don't want my
redraft.
first
And
pick
so,
tearing his ACL at minicamp.
but they take the ACL. You still hold on to them for you
Yeah, but
draft them.
he's
You
damaged
draft them for the
goods.
careers. You draft them for their careers, not for one season. And also, you draft them. The thing is, you draft them close to the draft because that's when it's fresh. So the idea is you want to pick these rookies right, like close to when they are drafted, and then you can project them to see how they go through, the training camp and everything like that. But the idea is to get it closer to that time because it simulates more of a real feel of the NFL, where like you're taking these guys, but obviously in the NFL you don't know how they're going to be in training camp in preseason. Same thing with Dynasty. You take them, you do their draft in May because you don't know also how they're going to be in training camp and preseason. So that's why I'm part of 4 Dynasty leagues, and 3 of them were already done. My one big money
I
league,
need
our draft takes place the Sunday morning after the draft ends. My other one takes place the Monday morning after the draft ends, and then my other league that I'm in, I don't run that league, but that draft takes place the Saturday after the draft ends. So like it's all pretty early, and I got one more dynasty league that the draft starts on Memorial Day. So like, yeah, it's all in May because you need to stimulate the real feel of the NFL draft. That's why.
well, I need to revamp. I need to get younger at running back.
When's your
So I
draft?
need running. I don't even know. I don't know. They're telling me to pick days in May. I'm like, no, I'm not picking a day in May because we shouldn't draft in May. So I don't think it didn't happen yet. I'm looking at my team now,
Mhm.
but like, I trade my draft picks like they're going out of style for guys who are proven. I don't play the long game in fantasy and dynasty.
In dynasty, you got to learn how to balance both.
No, I don't.
You gotta learn how to
Do that.
balance-
I traded all my draft pick. I traded a bunch of draft picks last year for Justin Herbert, and
Mhm.
everybody made fun of me. And then I beat them all in the playoffs except for one guy.
So that's good. I mean, that's good for now. But then, when the time comes, you're going to need draft picks to rebuild. So
I have some. I
That's
think
good.
I have a first. I have a first round pick.
Here's
but-
my and if anyone's listening and they're trying to get into dynasty, here's my take. Like you want to be able to try to win every year. Obviously, that's your goal. Unless if you are really like in it to tank, then 100% like okay, but you better hit on draft picks. But the thing is, you want to find a balance. Don't try to go swing one way or the other. I have a friend who in my league, he literally traded all his draft picks. To
Yeah,
try to
that's
like,
me.
no,
That's
but
me.
like literally all of them. Like no first round, no picks in this year, no picks next year. 2027 or 28 is when he has his next ones, but they're not even like early picks. So like he has nothing, no assets. So here's the thing with Dynasty, the picks also help you with trades because when you're making trades and say if a player is, with redraft, sometimes it's hard to get straight player value that's equal. The draft picks are the equalizers where okay, my one player I'm offering it's a little bit better than the player that I'm getting back. okay, so how can I make it equal? I'm gonna throw in draft picks to make it more worthwhile and make the value.
Yeah, I throw them all in when I'm
So
trying to make a deal.
so if you have no draft picks, you have no assets to deal with, and then when the time comes when your team gets older, you have no picks. You don't have your anything to build with. So it's finding a balance of, okay, how can I mold a team that's win now, but still maintain enough draft picks to have some assets. That's like because if you have no draft picks, it's going to be a lot harder for you to make trades.
But
and
like
so,
I trade them all. I say that, and it looks like I have the third pick,
so you didn't trade
and I
all your
finished
picks.
third.
You didn't trade all your picks then.
No, I
You have
have,
some picks,
but like
right?
then I got some because I traded George. After that, I traded George Kittle to get some of them back for
There you go. See,
whatever I
good.
got.
So you still have picks. Yeah. So you need picks.
So
So if you
I have
yeah.
a first round pick, I have a second round pick, I have two third round pick. I have too many draft picks.
See, no, see, they say that's good. So now you have
The only thing I
portability.
don't have a 2027 first round pick.
You're fine. That's 2 years from now. You can recoup that as you go along. But yeah, you have picks. So you didn't trade all of them. You
So
have
like
picks.
I'm probably not going to get Genty, even though I have the third pick.
No, he's gonna go 1-on-1. He's gonna go first overall in every single draft.
And like
If he
I'm
doesn't
loaded
do
at.
Yeah.
So the first two picks are probably going to be Genty and Cam Ward, right?
Genty, and then it depends. I've seen Travis Hunter go 102, which is
Oh yeah, I forgot about him. But that I don't know. I guess I would pick him if he was there just because he's a freak, but how much defense is he going to play versus how much offense is he going to play?
The Jags already said he's going to be primarily wide receiver.
Well, I don't really have a slot. I mean, I'd make a slot for him because I have CD, I have T. Higgins.
Mm-hmm.
I took Marvin Harrison Jr. with the first pick last year.
Yeah.
But like, if I had time to think about it, instead of just throwing me in this draft in May, I probably would have, stewed on it all summer and picked Jaden.
Yeah.
But I didn't know Jaden was going to be this good.
All right, I gotta wrap up, so let's get out of here. For all of those listening to, thank you for tuning in this week. Next week we will talk about the schedule, not just with the Eagles. Maybe we'll do the whole schedule. See what games pop out to us league wide. We have a lot to talk about, so we'll talk about next week. Hopefully we'll have PY. Thanks to our sponsor again. That's Bozio's Bread. Make sure you mention A2D Radio for 10% off your in-store purchase. Myself, Brinks, Les, PY, and all of us over here at A2D Radio. We appreciate you. We'll see you next week. Go Birds. Peace.